Hey, good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever it is, wherever you might be. I'm Chase Cunningham, or Dr. Cunningham, or DrZeroTrust, whatever. Anyway, Black Cat is coming up in like no time. I think it starts next week. I'll be out there from the 4th to the 7th. If you see me, please say hi or throw something at me, whatever you feel like, it's fine. Just aim for the head if you would, because I'd like for it just to be over. Anyway, let's get into the cyber stuff because, man, what a busy week for interesting news around cyber. First off, let's talk about the $25 billion elephant in the room. Palo Alto's $25 billion deal for CyberArk targets rising AI driven threats. Now, this is interesting when you read the actual article here. It's the biggest deal to build an identity security business, growing AI threats. Palo Alto shares fall 8%. So they took a bit of a dump, which is expected when you spend $25 billion. They bought him for $25 billion. In its biggest deal yet, CEO Nikesh Arora seeks to build out a comprehensive cybersecurity provider to tap into the rising AI-driven demand. I don't think that that's what's going on here, but let's go a little bit deeper. Wednesday's cash and stock deal, one of the largest tech takeovers this year and in history, to be perfectly frank, underscores a consolidation in the cybersecurity industry as customers streamline vendors after facing breaches while relying on a patchwork of firms. Okay, fair. It follows Alphabet or Google's $32 billion acquisition of Wiz in March and will broaden Palo Alto's cybersecurity offerings by adding identity security tools, bolstering its appeal to large enterprise customers. Hooray, huzzah for those people. A surge in cyber attacks, including data breaches and ransomware, has driven demand for more comprehensive defenses. Duh. Let's see. Earlier this month, Microsoft said hackers broke into its on-premises SharePoint servers, hitting more than 100 groups, including U.S. agencies, etc. Here's a quote from Nikesh. The rise of AI and the explosion of machine identities has made it clear the future of security must be built on the vision that every identity requires the right level of privilege controls. And of course, there's my dogs barking because that's what happens. Now, a little further into this, integration worries. Analysts said the Palo Alto drop in shares reflected investor concerns about post-acquisition integration, which is a point I'll follow up here with here in a minute, given that it's usually targeted smaller deals of less than $1 billion. It's a bit of an unknown territory for Palo Alto. Somebody at Roth Partners says Palo Alto has completed more than 14 acquisitions since 2019. That's a lot, including at least 7 in the past 2 years, which is a real lot. CyberArk reported revenue of about $1 billion for 2024, up 33% year over year, but its loss increased by about $27 million. The latest buyout could accelerate Palo Alto's AI security push as it can tap larger scales, so Salesforce to drive blah, blah, the adoption and all this other stuff. Global cybersecurity continues to grow. Checkpoint is still out there, but here's the question that I have from this is why would you, a $25 billion acquisition is a shitload, like a metric assload of money to go buy a company that would typically be considered identity and access management. Now, their thing about the foray into machine learning and AI and all the other stuff that they're talking about there, don't disagree with it. However, there's a whole bunch of startups out there that they could have bought for a whole lot less than $25 billion that do the same thing. So the real question should be, why would you spend $25 billion to acquire a company like this? Well, it's because you want that market share. It's because you never bothered doing identity and access management, and you have the cash and gas in the tank to go off and buy those groups and do those things. Is it great for Nikesh Arora? Sure. Is it great for the people at CyberArk? Absolutely. Is it really going to move the market forward in general for everybody out there? Probably not. Is it going to help enterprises? Probably. But doesn't this move us more towards, and I just literally published the blog on LinkedIn, go look at it, about where we're at as far as we should be having antitrust and monopoly hearings at the congressional level, because the math in this space, it ain't mathin'. If you look at the major players, 4 or 5 or 6 of them own over 60% of the market. Everybody else gets to compete for the scraps. Look at what Richard Steenman publishes. Look at what Forrester publishes. Those folks, there's thousands of vendors out there, but the big players continue to grow and they're not playing fair. And I get it, it's capitalism, whatever, however, the truth of the matter is this also introduces exceptional risk if it's not managed correctly. I mean, look what happened with CrowdStrike, right? You have CrowdStrike with bad patch management or bad developer stuff or whatever, and you take down the entirety of Delta Airlines. So you take down tens of billions of dollars of commerce, whatever. If we continue to consolidate, it's like literally counter to where we were trying to go in the first place. Again, at a business level, I totally get this. Is this helping cyber the right way? I would argue probably not. I think this is great, again, for stockholders and shareholders at those companies. But for the market in general, which is who I care about, and for the small and mid-sized businesses and everybody else, this ain't going to do jack for us. If anything, it's making it more problematic. So there's my 2 cents on the $25 billion elephant in the room. Further on, Bleeping Computer, Shiny Hunters, which is a funny ass name, behind Salesforce data theft attacks at Qantas, Allianz, and LVMH. A wave of data breaches impacting companies like Qantas, Allianz Life, LVMH, and Adidas has been linked to Shiny Hunters extortion group, which has been using voice phishing attacks to steal data from Salesforce CRM instances. If only they had had phishing training, this would have never, ever, 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 ever occurred. In June, Google's threat intelligence group warned that threat actors tracked as UNC 6040 were targeting Salesforce customers in social engineering attacks. Well, but aren't they trained for that? In these attacks, the threat actors impersonated IT support staff in phone calls to targeted employees, attempting to persuade them into visiting a Salesforce connected app setup page. On this page, they were told to enter a, quote, connection code, which linked to a malicious version of Salesforce Data Loader OAuth app to the target Salesforce environment. In some cases, the Data Loader component was renamed My Ticket Portal to make it more convincing. And there's the Salesforce stuff. Looks really good. Nobody would, I would fall for this, to be perfectly frank, if you did it correctly. So there's your Salesforce stuff. Google says that these attacks were usually conducted through phishing, voice phishing. Now, a different story there, but credentials and MFA tokens were also stolen through phishing pages that impersonated Okta login pages. Around the time of this report, multiple companies reported data breaches involving third-party customer services or cloud-based CRM attacks. LVMH subsidiaries Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Tiffany & Company each disclosed unauthorized access to a customer information database, with Tiffany Korea notifying customers the attacker breached a, quote, vendor platform used for managing customer data, aka a CRM, aka Salesforce. Adidas, Qantas, and Allianz Life also reported breaches involving third-party systems, with Allianz confirming it was a third-party customer relationship management platform, aka Salesforce. On July 16, 2025, a malicious threat actor gained access to a third-party cloud-based CRM used by Allianz Life Insurance Company in North America, and Allianz Life's spokesperson told Bleeping Computer. While Bleeping Computer has learned that the Qantas data breach also involved a third-party customer relationship management platform, just fucking say Salesforce, Jesus Christ. The company will not confirm it is Salesforce, but it's Salesforce. However, previous reporting from local media claims the data was from Salesforce. So, furthermore, court documents state the threat actors targeted accounts and contacts database tables, both of which are, quote, Salesforce objects. So, While none of the companies have publicly named Salesforce, Bleeping Computer has confirmed that there were all targets of the same campaign. The attackers have not led to public extortion or data leaks yet, with Bleeping Computer learning that the threat actors are attempting to privately extort companies over email where they name themselves as Shiny Hunters. So they call themselves Shiny Hunters. Okay. It is believed when the extortion attempts fail, they'll release the stolen information long wave of leaks, which is pretty common. Who are the Shiny Hunters? The breaches have caused confusion among cybersecurity community by the media, including Bleeping Computer, who literally published this article, with the attacks attributed to Scattered Spider, which is UNC 3944, as those threat actors were also targeting aviation, retail, and insurance sectors around the same time and demonstrated similar tactics. Threat actors associated with Scattered Spider tend to perform full-blown network breaches, culminating with data theft and sometimes ransomware. Shiny Hunters tracked UNC 6040, on the other hand, tend to focus more on data theft extortion, similar to a particular cloud platform or web app. It's Bleeping Computer and some security researchers' belief that UNC 6040 and UNC 3944 consist of overlapping members. I would say that that's probably a given, that communicate within the same online communities. The threat group is also believed to overlap with, quote, the COM, a network of experienced English-speaking cyber criminals. Is that like the Queen's English or regular English? According to Recorded Future, the overlapping TTPs between Scattered Spider and Shiny Hunters attacks likely indicate some crossover between the two groups. Okay, so let me take a step back here. And for anybody that's listening to this that gives a damn about things that I say, let me tell you from an analyst perspective. Like, I was an NSA person, I was a military analyst, whatever. So it's very common to see in these groups where people sort of share things back and forth. It's very common where they will moonlight for one group or another. So the fact that this is considered to be two separate groups is probably not entirely accurate. It's probably very likely that scattered spider people and shiny hunters people are the same individuals, or that they are collaboratively working together. There's probably people from other groups that are collaborating in there as well. I don't know, but I'm just guessing based on years of experience that it's probably highly likely that there is a lot of smattering going on there. Additionally, this is something that you should think about when people talk about attribution, because attribution in cyber is throwing darts at a wall if you're lucky. It's very, very difficult to say this group did this thing, because if I start up, I don't know, Chase's Cyber Threat Hacker Group 101, and we do very similar tactics to what Shiny Hunters does, well, we could be attributed as Shiny Hunters because we're new and we don't have enough stuff to back that up. So I'm never really bought in when someone says it was this group that did this thing. It's more like we think it was this group that did this thing, and here's the reasons why we think so. Like, the preponderance of evidence probably leads you to make an educated decision there. However, be aware that it could very well be totally inaccurate. So, and this also leads to why it's so hard to arrest and prosecute and do all those other things. Because what are you going to do? Take it to court and say, we really think that these motherfuckers are the ones that hacked your system. Oh, but it could have easily been those motherfuckers. I mean, it just doesn't play out very well. And motherfucker is an actual legal term. Lastly here, another theory is that Shiny Hunters is acting as an extortion of a service, which they extort companies on behalf of other threat actors. Here is some of the stuff from those folks selling databases. Protecting Salesforce. How do you do that? Well, gosh, this is probably exceptionally difficult. Let's see. Salesforce is urging customers to strengthen their posture by enforcing trusted IP ranges, following the principle of least privilege, enabling MFA, restricting use of connected apps, using Salesforce Shield, okay, sure, adding a designated security contact, fucking mega So there you go. Why is this stuff still so hard? Cybersecurity Dive. Research shows LLMs can conduct sophisticated attacks without humans. Super, super great. The project launched by Carnegie Mellon, which has really smart people there, and collaborates with Anthropic, who, this is the rabbits watching the grass grow, simulated the 2017 Equifax breach. EU researchers have demonstrated that large language models can autonomously plan and carry out sophisticated cyber attacks without human intervention. Super. The research conducted in partnership with AI firm Anthropic showed that AI could replicate the 2017 cyber attack on Equifax by autonomously exploiting vulnerabilities, installing malware, and stealing data. That's what LLMs are really good at. They follow processes, they can learn from past experience, and they can execute those things. This is not that shocking to me, to be perfectly frank. The Equifax breach compromised approximately 147 million customers' data. It's one of the largest in U.S. history. Researchers from CMU and Anthropic developed an attack toolkit called Encalmo that they used to translate the strategy behind the Equifax breach into specific system commands. And Singer, the lead researcher and a PhD candidate at CMU's Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, said the goal was to measure LLM's ability to autonomously plan an attack without the need for human assistance. Quote, it is unclear how well Encalmo generalizes to other networks. However, in the research paper, we evaluated Encalmo in 10 small enterprise environments. In 9 out of 10 of them, the LLMs were able to autonomously partially succeed in the attacks, which is AKA exfiltrate some sensitive data. The LLM provided high-level strategic guidance for the attack, while a combination of LLM and non-LLM agents handled lower-level tasks. This was really well architected and put together. OPEC said in June that LLMs had compromised 5 of 10 test works and partially compromised 4 other networks. One of the models using those tests was 2021 Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack, which they modeled. Great. Asked if modern defenses are capable of stopping such an autonomous attack, Singer said it's currently unclear how well modern defenses would hold up. I'll answer that question. It ain't good. He said the biggest concern was about how quickly and inexpensively someone could orchestrate such an attack. Currently, and this is a quote from Singer, a lot of cybersecurity defenses rely on human operators. I am not sure how well that scales up to machine timescale defenses. For this reason, we are currently exploring research into defenses for autonomous attacks and LLM based. Yeah, so here we are with the cyber arms race where they're already proving in research that they can take old hacks, they can categorize, they can structure it, they can have it train on it, and then they can have it execute because systems are still not patched from that stuff from decades ago. And they can go off and execute and do those things. Now, there's a couple of risks here that are potentially applicable. One, you publish this research and somebody out there living in their mom's basement with nothing to do goes, that's a great idea. Let me figure out how to do that. And then they do that and it works. And then they have created a new ransomware gang or a new threat group or whatever else. And they have the trained models to do that stuff as well. So Pandora's box is reopened. And then the other side of this equation is we are at the AI arms race in cyber, where if you're not using some form of AI, which I hate saying AI because it's not, but some form of LLM to combat malicious activities in LLMs, you are putting yourself into a bad place. Just there you go. All right. Hopefully, Wall Street Journal. China's cybersecurity regulator summons NVIDIA over chip security issue. This is kind of funny. NVIDIA said earlier this month that it could resume its H20 AI chip sales in China. And of course, they have this blocked off, but basically, China was like looking at NVIDIA and said, hey, you guys are doing stuff that's potentially concerning on the malicious side, like you're embedding nasty stuff, or we're not sure in our software or hardware, et cetera, et cetera. You come tell us what's up. I mean, rabbits watching the grass grow, cattle looking at the hay there. So, yeah, China, I guess, turnabout is fair play. There you go. And then here's an article in Yahoo, Fortune from Haywood Talco. I'm a cybersecurity CEO who advises 9,000 agencies, which is a lot, but okay. And Sam Altman is wrong that the AI fraud crisis is coming. It's already here. I would agree with that. Sam Altman recently warned that AI-powered fraud is coming very soon, and it will break the systems we rely on to verify identity. It's already happening. It's not just coming for banks. It's hitting part of our government, every part of our government right now. Every week, AI-generated fraud is siphoning millions from public benefit systems, disaster relief funds, and unemployment programs. Criminal networks are already using deepfake synthetic identities and large language models to, and of course, I got a blip in the internet there, outpace outdated fraud defenses, including easily spoofed single-layer tools like facial recognition. I work with over 9,000 agencies across the country. Are there 9,000 agencies in this country? As I testified before the U.S. House of Representatives twice this year, what we're seeing in the field is clear. Fraud is faster, cheaper, and more scalable than ever before. Organized crime groups, both domestic and transnational, are using generative AI to mimic identities, generate synthetic documentation, and flood our systems with fraudulent claims. The Small Business Administration now estimates that nearly $200 billion was stolen from pandemic-era unemployment programs, making one of the largest fraud losses in U.S. history. We've reached a turning point. If we don't modernize our defenses, blah, blah, blah. AI is a force multiplier, wackety whack. This guy testified before Congress. Let's see. Okay, there's his YouTube testimony. Hour and 48 minutes. This was streamed 5 months ago. Witnesses. LexisNexis. That's why this guy. Okay, so I would say, yeah, you probably do touch 9,000 agencies. Okay, well, all right. Yeah, so that's a lot. I stand corrected. You LexisNexis, yes, you're in front of a lot of places. So well done. Touche, salesman. Cool. Army Secretary directs West Point to rescind appointment of Biden-era cybersecurity director. Now, this is the politics side, but it's at least worth talking about for a second. The Secretary of the Army on Wednesday directed the U.S. Military Academy at West Point to review its hiring practices, bar outside groups from choosing employees, and remove a newly announced hire who led the nation's cybersecurity agency under Joe Biden. The directive shared on X, which is always the best place to share shit, by Secretary Dan Driscoll came just a day after Jen Eashley was announced as the Robert F. McDermott Distinguished Chair in West Point's Social Sciences Department. It demonstrated how vigorously President Donald Trump's administration sought to wield control over the ideology and leadership of higher education. It also highlighted how deeply concerned about censorship has seeped into the Republican Party Trump administration. I'm not even reading that because I don't want to get partisan bullshit. Let's see. The memo directs West Point to terminate Easterly's agreement with the institution and immediately pause non-governmental and outside groups from selecting employees of the academy, including instructors, professors, teachers, and shaping academic or developmental lectures. It also requests immediate review of the military training academy's hiring practices. Um, yeah. The quote from the Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said, quote, "We're not turning cadets into censorship activists. We're turning them into warriors and leaders. We're in the business of warfighting." Jen Easterly is an Army combat veteran and a West Point graduate. She has not commented. So again, I won't talk about the political side, but let's just talk the 1984 side of this just for a second. So the government is saying because they don't like somebody from a previous administration that they're not going to allow them to be part of an education group or a department that's just educating people. I mean, I understand a bit of the like we're worried about people putting their own doctrine into this thing, but I mean, if you put 100 chairs of 100 departments of 100 organizations out there and said how much influence they actually have on the people that are doing the work inside the department at academic organizations, it's probably questionable. Um, but I mean, also, take that away. Like, this is a former West Point graduate. This is somebody that ran organizations. This is someone that was a combat veteran. So, like, I would say she's qualified for the job, and the partisan bullshit shouldn't really get. This is a bit redundant, right? Of like, there was the group before that was talking about if you can do the work and you're good at what you do, then we want you in the position. But now the story becomes if you're good at what you do and you can do the work and you know your shit, if you were around in a previous administration, we don't want you there just because you were in a previous administration. And I don't know Easterly's politics from Adam. I don't want to talk about the political stuff. I'm a non-political animal, but it's just, I would say that this is not a good idea, and it's not probably good for the overall educational environment. Because I mean, that's somebody that does have in the weeds spirit and education. I've said some things about Jenny Easterly in the past, but I think in general, she's a smart lady that has shown what she can do, and I would be fine with her at the Naval Academy or something like that. But that's again just me. I don't need to go back over Palo Alto's buying them. Let's see. Federal News Network. Agencies new CISA guide helps agencies with next steps on zero trust, and I actually have a copy of that guide right now. I'm working my way through it. It's their micro-segmentation guidance. Agencies looking to stop hackers from moving lateral within their network should pay close attention to new zero trust guidance from CISA. CISA today released its latest guide, Micro-Segmentation Zero Trust Part 1. So there's a maturity model here, introduction and planning. This is good. The document explains how to embrace a key principle of modern cybersecurity, preventing a breach of one device or account from being used as a jumping off point to spread malware. Microsegmentation is a key aspect of the CISA Zero Trust model. Yes, I agree. The new guidance is the first in a Journey to Zero Trust series that CISA is producing to help federal agencies. Cool. According to Shelley Hartsook, an associate director at CISA. The initial microsegmentation guidance is geared toward non-technical management positions. So all you business people read this. CISA will follow up with a second guide that is more technically focused. There you go. There you go. You start with the leadership that's not the tech weirdos and you work your way forward. Hartsook said adopting microsegmentation requires careful organizational level planning from the start. You folks at CISA, if you want to know companies that actually can do this stuff for you and are really good at it, reach out to me. I have a very short list of folks that are really good at microsegmentation, and they should be included in your overall work strategy and everything else. Don't just continue to rely on Booz Allen and Palo and whoever else. There's other players out there that are good. You should talk to them. Oh, let's see. Ransomware gangs capitalize on law enforcement takedowns of competitors because that's how you get rid of competitors. After authorities dismantled Lockbit and Ransom Hub, other groups rush in to snatch up their affiliates, which is super. Several major ransomware groups have stopped posting victims to popular leak sites, suggesting the ecosystem is more dispersed than it used to be. At the same time, many smaller groups that used to affiliate with larger players are operating independently or seeking new partnerships. This is from research from Checkpoint. Established players are actively competing to recruit these orphaned affiliates, according to the report, which cited competition between prominent groups, Quillen and Dragon Force. Checkpoint's report paints a picture of new ransomware groups rising to prominence almost as soon as their predecessors collapse under the weight of law enforcement investigations, arrests, and infrastructure. I mean, You don't have to go through this whole thing. It's a pretty interesting report, but just think about for those of us that grew up in the 80s, 90s, the drug wars, right? You had the DEA and the cartels and those folks. Anytime Medellin cartel would go down, Bogota or Cartagena or whatever would step up. It's the same thing. Criminals are looking for easy opportunities, and that's how this works. So when one group gets hit, someone else fills that void. And last article for this week, ransomware attacks against oil and gas firms surge. Manufacturing remains the number one ransomware target, Zscaler says. Cybersecurity dive here. Manufacturing, information technology, and healthcare are top targets of cyber criminals, but ransomware attacks on oil and gas are increasing dramatically, spiking 935%. Well, that's a pretty big fucking spike. Oil and gas companies may be facing more attacks because their industrial control systems are increasingly automated and digitized. Half of all ransomware attacks listed on leak sites during April to April survey, so a year, targeted within the United States, more than doubled, 30,671. And that definitely tops everybody else by quite a bit. Zscaler's report, based on its own data and its analysis of leak sites, provides a window to the ransomware ecosystem, including the most active groups and dominant strategies. The volume of data that ransomware actors stole from victims in April 2024 to April 2025 represented a 92% increase over the amount stolen during the prior years, rising 238 terabytes. Jesus. This emphasis on data theft and the threat of exposure allows attackers to exert greater pressure on victims. Zscaler's report is the latest in a series of research findings to identify a significant shift by ransomware actors from traditional encryption-only attacks to data extortion. According to the report, public cases of extortion increased by 70% year over year, while the volume of data extorted in attacks rose about 93%. The biggest, most active groups are Ransom Hub, Akira, and Clop. The latter two rose in the rankings from the prior year, with Akira gaining strength through its affiliate model and its relationship with the initial access brokers. Clop has found success targeting widely used but vulnerable third-party software. There you have it. And just for shits and giggles, since we're here, I'm not going to share the screen because I'll get myself in trouble, but I'm going to go look at Shodan, just see how much oil and gas shit there is that, might be ownable. Let's do this very simply. Logging in with my old login, and let's do oil. Like literally, that's how hard this stuff is. United States, okay, it looks like there's about 1,500 weird ports, definitely some weird ports. FTP is there, which is always great. Let's see, Windows 10. Let's see, top organizations. Most of these are hosting, so this is behind it. I just want to see if there's any like direct connect stuff. This is okay. Oh, there's one. There's an oil company right there. We'll look at that in just a second. Energy Authority. That's not good. I can't give the names out of these because I'll get myself in deep doo-doo. But let's go look at the oil, of course. There we go. Oil company. And yep, Prescott, Arizona. And this is a direct thing to their actual ICD pipe. The tank information. Looks like there's a volume of 3,000 gallons in there. Nice. Let's see. I mean, this stuff just gets too simple. Let's try and find one more because why not? There we go. Another oil company. And there we go. This was in Shelby, which is North Carolina, I believe. And there's 8,454 gallons of unleaded in there. There you go. That's how hard it is to find an oil and gas thing on the internet and get right there. I'm not giving the names out. I'm just saying where they are and whatever, because I'm not trying to get myself arrested. But there you go. Anyway, like I said, Black Hat's coming up. I'll see you out there. It's going to be 7 bajillion degrees. If you don't burst into flame, try and stay in the air conditioning. Try and stay away from the old folks who are smoking. Other than that, I'll be back here in about a week or so. Do a post Black Hat wrap up, and I'm going to be doing a shitload of podcast recordings there. So I've rented like a professional studio, and it'll look all super cool and whatever else. But yeah, stay smart, stay safe, stay secure. I will catch you on the next one.